This episode of Traditional Millennials is brought to you by Talent Over Hype and Candy Clouds.
All right, guys, welcome back to Traditional Millennials. I know we've been gone for a long time, but we are back with a special episode. We are here with my co-host Rashid, aka Varsity P.
Hey, what's going on? How you feeling?
What is the tea? I am good.
Man, all is well.
So we have a lot to talk about today. I'm kind of gonna get in on you. I'm gonna dig in.
Okay.
Okay. We always have some pretty tense engagements, sometimes fun, but this one's a little different because I am interviewing you as opposed to us having a discussion about whatever content or whatever the hot topic is. So I'm gonna start off with, are you crazy? Have you lost your mind?
No, I haven't. I think the world is a bit upside down. So when you kind of stand right side up, it's you who could be perceived as crazy, but I'm definitely not crazy at all.
Okay. Well, I mean, you were on live talking about some things that concern some people and got them to think in that way. You were saying you buried 6ix9ine. You were saying you turned your house into a museum. Tell me a little bit about this.
Oh, man. I mean, I could speak towards a lot, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions, but I think when it comes to the concept of 6ix9ine, it's more so a concept of an individual whose tactics have not been something welcomed by our communities.
Okay.
And when I speak towards the 6 versus the 9, I think people have to realize that 6 is the most confusing number because the 6 can look upside down as a 9. And when we're talking about a world that's upside down, you think about even performing 6'9", 69 in bed, you don't procreate that way. You feel me? You could have a lot of fun that way, but if you live a lifestyle of a 69, there's no civilizations that will come out of that. So there's a lot of detriment when we talk about a character like that, and also the powers that be that empower people who are, I almost want to believe are on an assignment. So when I say I killed 6ix9ine, I'm talking about the spirit of him more so than I mean the individual. I'm awake and I know exactly what his agenda is, and people who are in line with him, whose agenda. But it ain't about him, so we ain't gonna waste too much time talking about him specifically.
Right.
But we'll get a lot into what it means when I talk about 666, when I talk about 6ix9ine, when I talk about Save Jay-Z, which is my mission.
Okay.
But yeah, so just know that when I say 6ix9ine, I'm talking about the upside downness of our world right now.
Okay. During that moment, you were visibly not yourself. Some people that are close to you would say. It appeared that you had lost weight. It appeared that you were just not presenting your ideas in your normal capacity. What do you say?
I say that's true. I say that was a stripped version of who I was, an individual who was on a quest for an answer. I started that journey watching Judas and the Black Messiah. I watched American Skin, so from a Friday to a Sunday, Judah and the Black Messiah on a Friday, American Skin on a Sunday, and then Antebellum with Janelle Monáe on a Monday. And what I've been working on is something that I think is going to shift the world in a positive direction. When we think about white supremacy, when we think about world peace, and in order to do those things, you kind of have to separate white from supremacy and then kind of go down this rabbit hole. And me being someone who's always concerned and having much of a consuming type nature. Even when I played video games, I played the video games that you had to beat the level. I don't play the 2Ks because you can sit there and play all day. Yeah. But I played the Resident Evil, the Tomb Raiders.
The first-person games.
Yeah, I play the games like my Mario Brothers. We're going to turn it over and beat the game because I'm very much mission-based and solution-oriented. So I fell down a rabbit hole. I spent about 4 to 6 days literally barely sleeping, barely eating, just literally trying to solve a problem. And the question was, if we were to create legislation that were to end the evil agendas that stand on top of us, how could we get the president to sign an executive order? That was literally...
That was your mission.
That was the question that I asked. And then you had to get into executive orders, then you get into vetoes, then veto overrides, then you learn about pocket vetoes, and then you just fall into a rabbit hole,
So when did that question pop up? Was it before the weekend of binge watching movies?
Oh no, it definitely was before. You know, anybody who knows me, I mean, who tunes into the show, who's seen me in 2020, who's known me over the last 15 years of my life, knows that I'm very much pro-black, pro-us, pro-liberation, pro-speaking truth to power, and trying to find ways that we as a people in a society can come together and find a way where we can live harmonious. You know, so since we are in a space of political activation, when you see what happens in January 6th with, you know, the people who stormed the Capitol, it's like, okay, that was after a vote. That's not after like a white kid got stepped on by a black cop. That's not because a white kid lost blood or died. It was literally because people see the country shifting in a direction based on voting. Yeah. So there was something about voting that intrigued me based on that. And if that's the game we got to play, then I had to sink my teeth into it. And you know, when you align with the Most High and you start getting past racism and getting past the emotional reactions that kind of keep us, you know, the dog chasing its tail, you really start to realize that it's really truly about good versus evil. And then when you get into that, you got to get into God versus demon. You got to get into certain aspects that can pull on your spirituality.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you about that as well. You were tapping in to a lot of spiritual elements.
Yeah.
Did you have a break? Was it an awakening that caused a break?
Of course. I had a breakthrough, a breakdown. It was a deconstruction to reconstruction experience. You know, the Most High puts us on a food fast. You know, so inadvertently I'm so, you know, consumed and I dig in, I'm barely eating, you know, ordering food, but I'm tapping a little bit of food. So, you know, in any type of spiritual alignment, it's okay to fast. Like most religions, Christianity, Islam, they'll practice a fast of food that kind of allows you to become obedient to your spirit, and you force out, you know, the will of your body. You know, you're not living in the flesh, but there's no race that I know, religion that I know of that has like a sleep fast.
Right.
You know, so without sleep, I'm a bit incoherent, I'm a bit disillusioned, I'm manic in terms of the obsession that I am tapping into, because it's literally about good versus evil. It's not about these political agendas and this sex versus this sex, this color versus this color. It's about who has a positive agenda for humanity, who has a negative agenda for humanity, and who's willing to come to the table as a democracy and really solve those problems. So the manic state was because I wasn't sleeping, you know, but not eating definitely opened me up to a spiritual alignment for sure.
Okay. I mean, like, you know, we have our own relationships. So when I got a call about it, I was like in between a rock and a hard place, because I do know about, you know, when people indulge in certain things or when they're studying certain things. I just know that when you reach a certain awakening, sometimes, you know, like the guy on the train that's talking that hot shit, but he's crazy. But you know, like, damn, he's spitting truth. Like, you know, I just didn't want to be the person to pin that on you or anyone that is, you know, speaking some knowledge that we just are not talking about.
Because overtly. What we're really talking about is behavior. You know, I think when you call someone crazy or you talk about conspiracy, we kind of have to ask who throws those words around. Yeah. You know, and no different than racism. The moment you say that, you shut down what people have to say. You know, so it's like if a racist white person cares about his family in sports, I care about my family in sports too. We might not have to sit down at the same table together, but we can fight for the same policies to protect our communities. But when you revolve yourself around racism or certain things, you never kind of work together to get the mutual things together. Yeah. You know, like we all work in different areas where people have different ideologies, pray to different gods, or have different moral structures. Okay. But we work in businesses with people who we don't know what their practices are, but we're there for a common goal. So I think when we dismiss people as crazy or dismiss people or things as conspiracy, we're not holding on to what needs to be held on to, you know, because even a bum could teach you something. You know, even the most quote unquote crazy person in the world, if you just tap out to listen to what they're saying, there might be a lot of truth there. Maybe their delivery is kind of conflicted based on maybe whatever psychoanalysis you could have on them. But I think we have to, as a society, grow past the emotional response to what a person is, because you see what happened with Donald Trump. If it's controlled by the media, they can spin emotions any type of way. When we talk about the society that reads headlines and reacts based off of a headline or a soundbite, how much of the conversation are you actually hearing? How much information are you absorbing to then formulate your opinion? You know, so I think within me, it was definitely not crazy, but it was manic. It was not organized and in my true aligned self because I didn't sleep, you know?
Yeah. Now, some people want to know, did this have anything to do with your relationship? You have a pretty public relationship.
Oh, no way. If anything, my relationship tapped me closer to God. You know, for anybody to think anything, no way. Like I've lost hair through terrible relationships. I've tried to compartmentalize my creativity and try to have kids and do a bunch of other things based off of someone else's will. No, my queen is stand tall. My queen is the reason why I'm even so open receptively to spirituality. You know, my queen, we sit down and watch Michael Todd, which is our pastor. We are part of Transformation Nation. You know, we watch Relationship Goals and Crazy Faith, you know, and Anchored right now. So those are the things that had me stand so tall, even in my disillusion. Those are the things that had me so centered when I said what I said, you know, and I could repeat the same things. It's just going to come different now because I was able to get some sleep and organize my thoughts. You know, anybody knows me, I'm a little impulsive. When I get information, I start shouting it kind of quickly. But nah, my queen is the anchor. Yeah, she's the anchor. Nothing she did drove me this way. If anything, she supported this breakthrough.
That's amazing. I feel like, I mean, I want to go so many ways right now, so I don't even know like where to go. But I want to make sure that I get the story, your story out there. So you were arrested.
No, I was taken into custody.
You were taken into custody.
Yeah, and they took me to a psych ward. Yeah.
So what's the difference?
To be arrested, you would have to go through fingerprinting. You would have to actually go through the system. You know, you could be detained. You know, I was detained. I actually wasn't. They put cuffs on me. An ambulance came. I got an ambulance, and then I went to a medical facility because what I expressed was someone who was angry and frustrated with the system. And even the officers who I spoke to at that time utilizing the COVID 6 feet tactic that I did, because I remember everything that I did.
How did they treat you?
They treat me with a lot of concern. Okay. You know, I was thankful that I had the correct talking points. You know, so the situation is that I went through a spiritual awakening. I realigned myself with the Most High and our ancestors. You know, so for those who believe in generational trauma, you also have to believe in the spirits of the generation still connecting to you. So, you know, when you really align yourself with them, your empowerment comes, you know, and when I stepped outside, one of the things I kept saying is that when it snows, it snows. When it rains, it rains. This is not 6ix9ine. You can't confuse the two. You know, it's like how people say, don't piss on my head and call it rain. No, like literally, when it's 6ix9ine, it's upside down. There's people who are trying to pervert and create these different things based on emotions. No, but God says when it snows, it snows.
So wait, you were on live, and then shortly after you were put in custody. Like, what is the timeline?
No, so these are two different days. Okay. The day that I was on live was the day prior to when I was in home, kind of just expressing all of these thoughts in my crib. And the funny part is it started off of a vision board. My queen made a vision board and she was like, Rashid, do yours. Mm-hmm. You know, so as I'm tapping into this research, this information, I'm watching Judas and the Black Messiah, I'm watching certain things, my vision board starts to create this alignment. I got Kanye West on one side, Dapper Dan on another, and that represents two pillars in our culture who have never gotten their just due for the influence that they created. When you think about Dapper Dan and what he's done for high fashion, he should own Gucci, he should own Louis. When you think about Kanye,
he just got a place in Harlem.
No, he should own it.
Right, facts. But I mean, he just got after years
of having to go to the underground. And when you think about Kanye West and his influence, he shouldn't have to have partnered with an Adidas to have Yeezy. You know, he had to do Pastel prior to, but lost $50 million or whatever the story is. Right. But then he's on Sway talking about how Sway. He's talking about the industry, the infrastructure. You know, so when you think about the contributions of our people, we should be at the helm of that. So just working on my vision board, you know, fast forward to finishing all of those things, my apartment becomes. I'm pulling out sneakers. I'm pulling out G-Camp stuff. You know, I'm literally making my house like a Art Basel display.
So that was where the comment came from, where like I'm turning my crib into a museum.
Yes, because I'm a creative artist. Like I wear my own clothes. Like I'm a producer. I've always done things that were visually outside. You think about the amount of music videos I shot, even when the music wasn't as good as it needed to be visually, I've always always had the integrity to take ideas in my head and make them real.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing these things in my household based on creating a vision board, it goes from the table to the wall, to the floor, to now pulling things out of my closet and aligning them in a way where I could literally walk you through the maze and say, hey, this is what this is. This is what we protest. This aspect represents G-Camp. These sneakers, almost in like a doggy diamond way, is us coming together but not knowing who's willing to risk, the cause for unity.
Of your manic moment, of your manic phase.
That was the beginning, and it started with playing Uno. I have pictures on my phone where I'm like, you see, they have to put the line under the 6 and under the 9 because
so
if you throw it down, people will be confused. And if you play Uno quick enough and people not paying attention, you could throw down the 9 real. You could throw down the 9 real quick and people think it's a 6. Right. So it literally kind of progressed in a way where my mind started to actualize the things in real form, and then that led to me having a breakthrough the morning that I left the home. My queen and her mother prayed with me on the phone, and for the first time in life is when I kind of felt the physical feeling of what my mom stood for. My mom's a Baptist. My mom went to church. She fell through her struggles. If you listen to my last album, drugs and drug addiction. But my mom's was a nurse. My mom's had a healthy life, but her hardships were her hardships. And after they prayed, and I kind of felt that confirmation, because I had already felt the ancestors. But when I felt that feeling from her mother, who is like the first lady of a Christian church. Mm-hmm. She's married to a pastor. She's the daughter of that. And they hitting me with this energy, praying over me. I was like, I woke up, but being manic and not sleeping, had I took that moment and kind of slept for a day or two, my delivery would have been right. But in that moment, I'm back to the power struggle of what it means when you're going against evil. So I seen a plow truck, and I jumped on a plow truck. My destination was to go see my dad because my dad's Muslim. I had the Baptist mom, the Muslim dad, so I walked that line in the middle. I'm Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. I'm right in the middle of it.
So you're trying to get the other end of the spectrum.
So I got to go to my pops now to get that, But
why the hell were you on the plow truck trying to do that?
Because my manic state originated back to that conversation about how to get a president to sign an executive order, how to create a space where we as a people have control over our own destinies. So that was more of a power dynamic than it was anything. You think about kids when we jumped on the back of the buses back in the day to go to 68 Park, or when we hopped on a 60 bus to take it all the way down to Linden Park when we played basketball. It was literally not a hijack, but more of a hitchhike. I'm gonna just jump on the back of it, on the side of it, this cushion area where I threw my feet up and was like, yo, we going to my pop's crib.
Looking back on that moment now, like, how do you feel?
I want to buy a plow truck. That's how I look at it.
Now you have to buy a plow.
Yeah. It's,
because you said it was yours.
Yeah, I've claimed it. The Most High says you claim it, Uh-huh. So on that, it was like, you know what? How about claiming it? How about the next phase of the kids who used to go outside shoveling snow for $20? We got some plow trucks, and now we getting paid thousands to clean up the streets. You feel me?
That's a way to spin.
So in that, I'm not excusing my behavior. I was 100% manic. Mm-hmm. I was 100% tapped into a different frequency, but not calculating that where we are now, because my mind was not seeing. My mind was seeing the Matrix. It's almost like Neo. I'm creating associations with numbers, with names. I'm doing etymology. I'm breaking down things to roots. I done spent 4 days going through every layer of history. Yeah. I'm learning about Beacon's Rebellion, the American Revolutionary War, a term called Black Loyalists, which were the black people who, during that time, who sided with Britain.
Right, because they wanted freedom.
This is before Uncle Tom.
That's the revolution. That was the American Revolution.
That's not Civil War. This is literally just America breaking away. Then you learn about Beacon's Rebellion.
You gotta have a second conversation on that.
So there's a lot. But anyway, so
for sure.
It was manic, and the cops stopped me, and they seen me on there. I literally had a lot of fun with them because it's COVID. You gotta stay 6 feet. Yeah. One of the most funny parts is when they tried to grab me, my phone fell, and I said, pick up my phone. They said, we can't pick up your phone, it's your property. So I said, so how you putting your hands on me then?
In my body.
And they had to back up, and it was great. And then after that, I talked to them, and it was peaceful. It was like, yo, we here for love. I respect Trump voters, this is Staten Island, people got to understand. This is not Brooklyn. Yeah.
So where did you go after that? So the police came, they're concerned. Yeah. Where do they take you? What is
so
that
they
like?
took me to Rumsey, which is a mental institution, mental hospital. And it was just more so almost like a tapping into seeing what's going on with me. I was 100% coherent. That's why the whole bipolar or you go crazy. No, I didn't tap out. No, I seen. It's almost like I was in my body, but seeing what I was doing.
Got
you
it.
know, and it was literally just a conversation of what it is. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, when are we going to talk about white supremacy? When are we going to
This is
talk
what you
about?
said to them?
Yeah, I had 100. I had 6 officers. But prior to, I was in a ambulance with 3 officers, and they were asking me questions. And the main person who was asking me questions, I asked her, did she believe in God? She said no. I said, so why are you the person asking me the questions then?
And then what was the response?
It wasn't one, because how can you ask someone who believes in the Most High, who's aligned, who feels he's on a mission and has been tapped for the purpose that he's always been on? If anything,
Right.
the experience has been a confirmation. I've always wondered, why do I care about this shit so much? Why am I this smart, this intelligent, but I want to care about kids and community? Why am I doing G Camp in Bushwick? Like, why? It was always before me. It reminds me of when I was 11. I said, well, I wanted to be the next Martin Luther King. So that experience confirmed me, which suspended the desire for validation. You know, but I want to save that for a little bit later in the conversation. But it was those conversations. I asked the other police officer, who's your top 5 teams? You know, with sports, like, we really having a positive conversation, because life is more about commonalities and similarities than there are in differences. So my coherent space wasn't like I'm belligerent, wasn't like I'm bugging out. I'm sitting down talking. So they literally released me that night.
Do you think it was a premature decision? Do you think they should have kept you?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure. I think that they did what was in the scope of what they're supposed to do. And because I wasn't suicidal, I'm not depressed, I didn't want to hurt nobody or hurt myself. And within the conversation that we had, I was coherent. I understood what I did. I understood how it looks. You know, I think their suggestion was, okay, have a follow-up. They gave me a follow-up paper, told me get some sleep. Because if I've been in this position for over 10 years of my life, understanding good versus evil, or learning to understand that, but more so somebody fighting a good fight for our people, I would have went crazy. I'd have went crazy when I was trying to get people to go green in 2008, before it's cool and gluten-free. When I'm visiting schools, doing green community events in my neighborhood, when people looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Then. So I'm crazy for what? For doing the same shit that niggas is making whole Instagram pages for?
Ahead of your time.
Of working out, of eating right, but that's their whole marketing push. You know, so I don't necessarily think it was that. I think that they saw that I was manic. I was upset. I'm frustrated with where the world is. And in that, I just didn't get no sleep and eat. So that's what the behavior was.
So tell me what happened after that.
So after that, I went to my dad's crib. My queen came and picked me up with one of my best friends. Went to my father's crib, prayed with my dad, slept at my dad, and got like the first good night's sleep, you know, in the last 4 or so days. And when I woke up in the morning, my mind was a bit more, I rested. I let it sit on my head. I had a good laugh to myself, like, yo, thinking you really just tried to, you know what I mean, hitchhike a ride on a plow truck, bro. Like,
some people thought that it was like a stunt.
I mean,
like a content stunt. Like, you know, because there's a lot of content creators that are doing things for attention.
No, that's not me. If I do some shit, it's real for real life. You know, anybody knows me, I'm calculated. So if it was going to be a stunt, it would have been something that was more calculated than what that was. If anything, that was just a manic state of someone who's frustrated with the battle of trying to have people see past the bullshit that divides us. You know, I sit on Clubhouse in every room. It's this girl versus this girl. It's the light versus dark. It's the ADOS versus the Caribbeans and African. It's like the men versus sexes. Oh, you want white? It's so many things that divide us. And it gets to a point when are we literally going to talk about evil versus good? Good karma, even if really, okay, good karma versus bad karma. You know, when are we literally going to step our personal issues aside? Hey, bro, everybody got a sad story. What are you doing with yours? You know, you can either make it work for you and others, or it's going to be your demise and those of others if they connect to it. You know, so in that moment, you know, I went to sleep, was able to kind of refresh my mind, and I literally just went home and started cleaning up. I'm in the house cleaning up. And when I'm in the house cleaning up, I think that's the day I went live. Not the day before. That's when I went live again, I believe so. And that's when I talked to my friend Johnny. And no, I didn't. I actually, no, the day before I went live. That day I just came home, started cleaning up. The stuff that I had posted the day before was still kind of floating online.
Right. I think you had made a post.
And people had started hitting me up, with the whole God is tacos. And I was like, yo, y'all don't understand what that means. I do, but okay, God is tacos means he's the shell, we're the ingredients. We land on him and everything comes together. It's like together all things, it was just an acronym.
I feel like it would have been appropriate for like elementary school kids. But for like your peers, you know what I'm saying? Like that would have been, honestly, as a teacher, I'd have been like, yeah, write that curriculum for like little kids.
But then people don't pay attention to the fact that I love tacos. I'm always posting tacos.
I think people do know you love tacos.
I lived in Texas for 3 years and had a Mexican girlfriend named Kathy who broke my heart. Like, this is real life.
God and tacos gotta be together.
It's synonymous to who I am. If you don't know me over the last couple of years, you know I love tacos. So that's the first thing that's gonna come to mind.
But you can see how people would be like,
of course, because I'm not saying it in the right state of mind. If I say it right now, hey, God is tacos, and it stands for this, then people can understand.
So you have the plow truck incident.
Yeah. So I come home, I'm cleaning up, and it's still the stuff floating online. I suspended validation. So at that point, I don't give a fuck about validation. Like, I grew up playing basketball, but when I started doing music, that was one of the most challenging transitions in my life, because when you play basketball, you just got to show and prove. I'm on the court. I got to work out. I got to do everything prior to my prerequisites, working out, making sure I'm taking care of my body. And on court, I'm going to show it. I have a good game or bad game, I'm still going to be able to showcase consistency over. But when you do music, now you have to compartmentalize what about you is going to sell, what about you is going to fit, what about you is going to not.
You can make music.
I mean, well, if you start when I started prior to, it wasn't no independent shit. It was getting a record label. You had to get a deal. We come from the era of 2008, 9, 10, where the bloggers are, where, where everything is, who you signed to, who you connected to.
So do you feel like for a long time you were...
I chased validation for a very long time. I had to compartmentalize aspects of me and hope that those pieces that I threw out in a music video or in a song, people loved and accepted, because I was not in the ability to know how to just be 100% fully me and exist in that space. Because when I tried to do certain things, it seemed that people, when I got raps about going green, that's truly who I was.
But it wasn't being received.
Cool. You know what I mean? So after my last album, which was the revisiting of who I was, the poor black boy story, the kid who grew up in Bushwick, I've been going green and living in Staten Island for so long. Y'all don't even know I'm really a Brooklyn kid who used to play basketball, who was a fly kid who was with the same shits. I just got older and started to see that my mind and my body was connected to really trying to care and do change versus money, cash, hosing all my life. You feel me? So in doing those things, and I am a nigga who was money, cash, hoes. I'm a nigga who been fly, got girls, been cool.
You could be more than one thing. You don't have to be monolith.
I can be more than I can, but I don't.
You go green and still want to throw dollars in the strip club.
Again, but I didn't know what the market of that looks like being an artist.
I tell you.
I ran around with Ty Cool with the green light in the bottle. That was a healthy alcoholic beverage.
That was dope.
Promoting that while I'm still working out, eating right. Oh, this is a healthy alternative. But this is before Instagram tools. This is before Twitter. So this is where we're reliant on what? Not too many devices that I could fully showcase a lifestyle. It had to be relied on a song or getting on World Star or certain things or a blog post, where you hope that they put in a paragraph but people don't read. So how much of that can I really share out to the world? So if anything, the moves were prior to being able to have a full lifestyle. Now you see my lifestyle with my woman. You see things. So imagine if I have these tools at hand prior to, So the fight was the validation. But
and now
when
now you're in a place where you know.
And the Most High validated me already. I don't give a shit about that.
You don't need a validation anymore, but you're not quite coherent. So you're talking about God and tacos. Your friends and family are still concerned.
Yes. So they come and they let me know that they're concerned. They asked me to take a ride with them. I went for a ride with them. They stopped by a medical facility and said, we would like for you to talk to someone. What do you think I said?
I think I know what you said, but I would have thought you would have fought it because you fight everything.
Nah, I love to communicate. If everything about me is not living in denial, why would I not want to talk to anybody about how I feel? The only thing I said was, as long as they black.
All right, Issa Rae.
That's the
everybody
only
black.
thing I said.
So backing it up, because I think this is an important part. Basically, they staged an intervention. Did it feel like an ambush?
It did, but that's because I believe we're in a moment where mental health is kind of this catch hype.
It's a hyper awareness.
It's this hyper aware moment where we are just prescribing people to mental health. And I respect and I acknowledge the fact that that's where their concern was. So I don't want to take anything away from my friends, because you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to see, this is not normally how my nigga moving. So we need to kind of put him in a position where he can, at least talk to someone. And because I guess I stand so noble, they probably thought if they tried to just talk to me, I'm a good conversationalist. I'd have probably been able to weave them around. No different than I gave them a whole tour of the crib when they came. This is what this is. This is where 6ix9ine was killed. This is this is this, that, and the third. The Jay-Z, the Douce bottle, where I snapped the top off of it and put the corkscrew next to it. You know what I mean? And then I put the Jay-Z top of Darion on top of this aspect on the vision board that I had next to Dapper Dan and Kanye West, starting the mission, because he is our hope. He is the epitome of success for black people who come from where we come from, whether you believe in him or not. Like, yes, a poor dude from the hood utilizing his art to become what he did. Give me another example. You feel me? So in that, it was, them knowing that I would rationalize it. So when they said, speak to somebody, I said, cool, as long as they black. Want to know why? Because when you really get into the psychology of it, has the American Health Association ever identified extreme racism, white supremacy, systematic oppression as the leading causes of PTSD amongst black people? And if I started this journey with a question of creating a legislation to have the president sign an executive order, you having me sit down with people that are not even identifying or acknowledging the implications that we have had historically when we get into generational trauma. What are they really going to do for me? I'm not suicidal. I don't want to hurt nobody. Y'all gonna put me on medicine or what? Make me subdue and just be accepting of white supremacy? So I respected and I agreed with their concern. I just didn't think within the state we are in as a people, we are doing the work to say, okay, this is really what's going on with him. We need to maybe see what is out there that addresses this specifically, because that shit did. It didn't. I spent 6 days in there. We could talk about that experience, but I want to just answer that question of, I respect their concern and I value their concern, and I don't complain because the Most High brought me through it. So I know that you can't sit in the middle of the road. I can't be angry that they went about it that way because I chose to go. They woke me. I said, yeah, I'm willing. Put somebody black. I'm going to let them know exactly how I feel when I'm going through what's going on. And maybe in that conversation, there'll be somebody to kind of understand. But if the situation of the facility in itself, historically, like I had to, before you come in 1962, 10 black psychiatrists went to the American Health Association saying, when are you guys going to recognize extreme racism as the leading cause of PTSD amongst black people? They specifically said, we cannot, because the behaviors of white people are innate to who they are. So to acknowledge what we go through is to say this is how these people innately behave, then that means they cancel themselves out. So anything that white people are over that affects us, remove them. Anything that white people are in charge of, from our schools to our businesses to our culture, remove them. Or at least put the same amount of black people there who can advocate for us, because they innately are going to be and behave the way that they do. Not saying all, but there's a realistic ideology that exists within an audience of inferiority, of annihilation, of at some point the white race will be erased from the planet, as if black people can't say, hey, bro, let's stop telling our brothers to stop sleeping with these white women, because if we do, they're going to kill us. You know what, white people, here's the treaty. We're going to leave y'all women alone, and we're going to do us over here. Now, if they come over here, y'all got to hold that one, but we ain't going to be going over there. Like, they treat us like we're barbarians and Vikings that was just running out, pillaging white women because we trying to erase the race. You feel me? So when you look at it in a realistic standpoint, No, 100% segregation is needed if the American Health Association is not even going to acknowledge the innate behaviors that lead to our demise. So that means leave us alone.
So you went into the facility discussing this very same thing.
Yeah, and they was going to keep me there. You want to know
Tell
why?
me about that, yes.
Because I have to come outside. This is the way of the world. Period. Like, okay, Rashid, this is the way it is. And because you're in here because of the way you think, you might as well just sit here forever.
So what day did you go in there?
I went there on a Friday. So Thursday, I left Rumsey and I prayed with my dad. Friday, I'm cleaning up my house. They come to the home. They take me to there. I'm like, as long as they black, I go to talk to someone, but not realizing that I'm going to be admitted. So I go from voluntary to involuntary because my behavior.
All in one day?
In one day on Friday, because my behavior prior to was listed as manic.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, I was manic.
So it's key. I want you to say this because I think this is important. Terminology and vocabulary
yes,
are very important.
it's weaponizing a situation where people don't realistically know exactly what it is. So you can ask your questions because I want us to walk all the way through it.
So you used the term manic yourself to describe what you were going through.
Yes.
And that was utilized to categorize you as having to stay there.
Yes.
Okay. So be careful when you use these terms.
Yes.
Even about your own family members.
Even your friends and your family who utilizes certain words. When you say certain words, they automatically are going to it. Okay, cool. You say he was manic. He's manic. He went from voluntarily being here to now he's involuntary being here, and he has 72 hours of a review. So
that was the weekend.
Yeah. So
what's happening over the weekend?
So I get there on a Friday night. And one of the most disappointing aspects of this is me knowing this information about the doctors in 1962. I knew this prior to, because the legislation that I'm working on with the president signing an executive order is more focused on human rights violations than it is reparations for lost wages.
Gotcha.
Because we don't have access to the book. So how can we know, okay, our ancestors started at 6 a.m., clocked out at 11 p.m. We don't know. But we can definitely look at it from a human rights and a violation of our rights when we think about the mental implications that we have had historically. When we think about the broken homes that we have went through, the generational trauma, that's realistically placed based on everything we've existed in from slavery. This is facts. And then when you add the institutions that exist that have boxed us in and boxed us out in certain ways, there's a full system at play.
And now you're in this system.
So these are things that I know. So I'm going in here already knowing this mental institution is not going to have here's the group for people who suffer with the implications of white supremacy, racism, and systematic oppression. Come to this group at 3 p.m. and we're going to have a conversation about it. No, it's not that. So I get there on a Friday night. The first thing they want to do is medicate me.
The first thing.
I don't get a body ops, whatever they call it. Like, I don't get the body scan. I don't get nothing. I don't get, hey, a 15-minute conversation with anyone. I don't get anything.
Were you wilding?
No, I'm chilling.
And they just want to medicate you right away.
I'm chilling. The last thing I did was posted me in the hospital with my my mask and my robe on, and I put on social media. It's crazy how we live in a world where you could dance to your own death, and that's cool. Where the things that are the detriment of our people are the things that is cool. But because I spoke out, and you gotta understand me, I'm purpose over behavior sometimes. So even though my behavior was manic, I would hope people listen to what I was really saying.
Yeah.
Because I still stand for those same things today. But because of the manic state, I can understand that I needed to take a seat. But my thing was, I could have took a vacation to my queen in Miami, and we could have just had some amazing love making, got some sleep. I'd have came back on a Monday and been
would have been better?
Yeah, I would say next time, if I ever get into that, let's do that. Because if it's about sleep and lack of eating, then let's go somewhere I can sleep and get some food. Versus going to an institution who is not even set up to address why I'm here. Because I'm not suicidal, I don't hurt myself. So I spend Friday there, Saturday and Sunday there. Now, the funny part about Saturday and Sunday is there's no groups. There's no doctors. It's just like weekend handlers. And all they do is give you food, take your vital signs, and give you medicine.
So you're not being treated?
I'm getting food.
Right.
They're reading my vital signs, and they're giving me medicine.
That's it.
That's it.
Can you discuss what medicine they're providing?
At first, it was a mixture of a few things because, again, this is a standard practice to my knowledge.
Right.
Anybody that comes in here, this is your baseline. We got to neutralize you. We got to sedate you. We don't give a fuck about what you in here for. This is the practice that we have. But by Monday, it's lithium, and that's dealing with bipolarism. And I'm like, I'm not bipolar, but if this is what y'all saying, okay, cool. I know how to put a pill in my mouth, drink some water, and spit the damn pill out when you walk out, because I know that these medications are gonna fuck up your mind. I done watched enough Kanye West interviews and been aware enough of medicines and side effects. And if I am not crazy, that's gonna fuck up my mind and my creativity. But for the fact that you guys have a system that isn't even concerned with that, y'all just trying to, listen, I got there on a Friday. I was medicated 3 times a day. That Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. This is before a psychiatrist and a social worker talked to me.
Wow. That's
and
crazy.
then
that seems excessive.
And then on the weekend, it's nothing but a bunch of individuals who I pour my heart to. Because when you really start to sit down, and people gotta understand, I'm a director of after school program. I've worked with children who got stripped out of ACS. I've worked in a center with people who are homeless, who need medication. And I've had these conversations with people about big pharma and them just prescribing things just to kind of keep the money going. So I know a lot. So y'all not treating me like somebody who doesn't know. So I'm in there at this point with my eyes open like, oh, this is a whole system.
You peeping.
Everything now is me with my notepad. I'm reading every sign. Oh, that's how I learned that went from voluntary to involuntary, because I see it on the wall.
No one told you.
Nobody told me nothing.
Yourself.
No. I am walking around reading things, and I'm seeing how they handle people. Then they got 2 rooms with a remote, and anybody could put on any fucking thing in the world. So people are watching violence, crime, killing, rape, unsolved murders. And I'm like, well, if people are in here treating their mental health, aren't these things possibly triggering?
Right.
But then the funny part is that, like how in jail, they have, like, I guess the way that some people's numbers are, you could tell how long they've been here or how long they're gonna be here. Or you don't put a kid who broke a window.
No, they have like different,
you don't put a
security.
Mass murderer or an extreme rapist with a kid who stole a muffin out of a bakery. Right. But in here, they put everybody together, and we all get white bands. No matter the diagnosis. There's no red bands for the people who just are tied with white supremacy, and a blue band for the people who have been suicidal, and a green band for the people who deal with mental instability because of drugs or alcohol. There's nothing. We all got white bands. We all literally occupy one space. So people could literally be triggering other people. Then you got a couple people who might be in there, young girls who 18, 19, who a badass kid who had a breakup with their boyfriend, and because they wanted attention, they done scratched up their damn wrist. So now they sit in a damn room all night long screaming like a banshee, triggering people.
Are there roommates? Are you in a room?
No, but the rooms are interlocked. So my room is here. There's the next room there. We share a bathroom and a shower. And then there's another room with another room. They share a bathroom and a shower. But my room, I could literally walk through the drapes to the next room.
Interesting.
Yeah, so in the situation in itself is so, that's why I pour my heart out to those individuals, because I know why I'm here.
Right.
And then I can understand and see a system that is not set up to treat the individual need of the person. This is a transitional space where we just gonna medicate everybody, and especially over the weekends, there's no groups. Nobody's doing a little, come on, I need 7 people to come sit down. What are your hobbies? We didn't get that shit till Monday. But y'all just sat there and tried to medicate a nigga for 2.5 days and put us all in the same room. You know what I did? I started putting on Michael Todd, I started putting on Pastor Michael Todd. I started putting on like Passion of Christ, Noah's Ark. Like, I'm literally just connecting with the spiritual alignment, because that's the only thing that's gonna give me faith to get up out of here and just getting on the phone, reconnecting with my family and my friends. But truthfully, if I was there for something else and y'all got law and order on and it's somebody who's raping somebody, what if I'm a victim of that? That shit is gonna fuck me up. And then you letting people roam around freely around each other. What if somebody said because of violence and they might want to hurt someone? Or what if,
was there any of that there?
No, but there was a lot of frustrations, especially when it was 2 young ladies who, had kind of like a night terror problem, and they would be screaming from maybe 12 midnight to 4 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you look at it like that, and then I'm sitting in there, and
if you were already going through something, that screaming would definitely make it worse.
Of course. But then at the same time, when we get to Monday and now the doctors are here and I sit in this room, I got a black psychiatrist, and it was a black psychiatrist and it was another black med student, but the rest of the room was filled with white people and maybe an Asian.
So tell me about that. You finally see your psychiatrist. Do you inform her that you know that you're there involuntarily? Like, what is that conversation?
No, yeah. So no, at that point, I still didn't know I was there involuntarily. Okay. I read the differences of what it meant. And this is Monday, so I'm waiting for my 72 hours to what? Sign myself out.
Okay.
Because now, okay, cool. If it was about sleep and eating, I've already done that. Now I'm ready to go. I'm calling my pops like, Pops, come sign me out on Monday. I'm ready to, like, because they're not doing anything for me. Cool. If y'all want to call the crazy people on me and I am here and I volunteer to come here, because remember, I volunteered. They let me go Thursday. Friday, they say, we want you to talk to somebody. I say, as long as they black, I'll go.
Right.
I sit there for 2 days and they just want to give me medicine and nobody to talk to. How about my social worker was assigned to me and I didn't talk to the lady until Tuesday when I was saying, when can I go home?
And you had to seek this
I had
individual.
to seek her. I never had to this a 15-minute conversation with this person. Yeah.
Who you didn't see until you basically
Until I went to see her.
Found
100%.
4 days after being there.
Yes. And on Monday, my psychiatrist comes. We go to this room. Everybody sits down. Hey, why are you here? Do you know why you're here? Yeah, I volunteered myself to come. I displayed manic behavior because of this. Systematic oppression, white supremacy, and racism.
What were the looks on their faces when you said that?
He's going to be a problem. Let's find a way to get him up out of here as soon as possible. But we still got to milk the system. It ain't 72 hours yet.
So what did they say to you, though, when you said that? You said, I'm here because of white supremacy, systemic oppression.
Manic.
So what? They didn't say anything to you?
No, we understand all that, but you displayed manic behavior. So what we want to do is observe you for 72 hours or yada, yada, yada to see how the medication is working in order for you to what? Be docile enough to go back, and they don't say this, but that's what it means, to be docile enough to go back into this world where systematic racism, white supremacy, and oppression doesn't bother you.
This makes me so mad. So what I'm hearing is you came in there saying, I am having a racial post-traumatic issue. Right?
Yes. PTSD
I'm having
of being
a racial trauma response.
Black man in America.
Right.
And trying to solve an issue that I fell into a rabbit hole. And because of the rabbit hole, I was faced with some harsh realities of it's really just good versus evil.
Were you diagnosed with anything?
No. How could they diagnose me?
Were you treated for race trauma
No.
response?
I was given pills in order to sedate me and relax me. Nothing to address the issue. There was no meeting to talk about, okay, Rashid, when you go back out in this world, here's a couple of tools and tactics to go about that. No, it was, nigga, you're going to give your therapist, give your psychiatrist, and keep taking your medicine. That's it. I'm not suicidal. I don't want to hurt nobody else. So what did you niggas really do to me but take money from my insurance that I got to pay a copay on? Yeah. What? I think the Most High, because God did everything for me. He allowed me to have a full lens to the situation, to be able to create a critical analysis of it, to pray over people who are in there who need fucking help. And this place is not set up to help them.
Do you think there was anyone in there that besides you that maybe shouldn't have?
Yeah, it was a young guy by the name of Mike. He was really cool. He's a white guy. And one of the things we kept talking about is this is what Malcolm X talked about. The moment the black man and the white man could just put their issues to the side and come together and really look at what we're up against. I had a lot of knowledge based on my research and learning. He had a knowledge based on his research and learning. And it was beautiful. But then there was other people who just got a drug addiction because they went through hardships. Like hardships. Like people are... That's why I say don't weaponize mental health. Create a change of the situation. People don't realize the thing that was the triggering point was 14 of my kids that go to my center were locked up by the police because they threw a party bus event. I am right down the block from a precinct. These are kids that come to my center. But because of COVID, there's not much activities that can happen because they play ball. They like to be, so we pull them in, we pulling them in. But how often have we been shut down? So I'm looking at a system of, all right, we right down the block from a police precinct. We historically know what's going on in East New York. By the way, I'm a successful black man that lives in a luxury apartment that still desires to work with kids in East fucking New York. Who has my own trauma from a mother being on drugs and a brother being locked up. I could literally erase that part of my life, have a bad bitch and just be doing me. And be like everybody else. But no, I really give a shit. But the precinct down the block creates no programmatic adjustments with us to try to harm reduce or preventative measures of the shit that these kids is going through. They would rather just be outside policing them. So what happens is the young kid who throws a party bus is a kid like me. I'm not a gangster, but there's different versions of street. I grew up outside too. I wasn't selling drugs. I wasn't, partaking in a bunch of nonsense or barely in and out, but I'm still a street kid. Like this whole ideology of what street niggas is, no, I'm a street nigga, suck my dick, because I've been outside. I was outside. You feel me? So young kids similar to me play ball. One of the kids that, you want to come to the program, come inside, give him the cones. He works on his talent. He works, but those are party bus. I'm still friends with the homies. I still got my Browns. I still got my brother and my people who more connected to the streets. So they might have something on them. Party bus. So they get on a party bus. They got weapons on them. Now, story says the young boy who would have been like me, let me throw that under my seat. The heart of the kid, right? The heart. So if you got a heart to do that for that, imagine what heart you would have if we align it with something of righteousness. And they end up getting picked up in a party bus. My first question was, what made the police stop a party bus if these just young kids partying? I'm not condoning the weapons that they shouldn't have. No, we should address the guns that are in our communities, but we should all address how the fuck they get there. We should also create preventative measures where it's like, okay, turn in your gun and you get a college scholarship, young boy. How many boys you think is gonna get that gun away for a full ride at a HBCU? But when we gonna start having those conversations? Because if the system ain't set up for us, what are we gonna do? But then I'm getting manic now, right? I'm getting excited.
No.
That's what that means. So I broke down in my office crying with my, with my fellow director, Elizabeth, who's from Brooklyn, who is a church woman. But I broke down in there because it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. They literally are just targeting our kids. We have a program that's 1 block away. Tell me what police program they do on my shit. What?
But they
got the Explorers where they kids coming in, they use the space.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to get our kids to participate in that. So we got to force that.
There's no police outreach.
But listen, but then for what was it? The police, that little program with the cadets. But that's for kids who want to be a cop.
Right.
What about the kids who don't? They just need to have street smarts and understand what the shit really is. Y'all don't put no program in there with us. All y'all do is police our events. So what are you really fucking doing but standing outside policing our kids? It's bullshit. It's a system set up to continue to pull us.
So when did that happen?
That happened a few days before I broke down. So when I'm going through my research, this is all the things that's happening. So when I go to work on that Thursday, on that Wednesday, this is before my manic behavior on that Thursday, or maybe that Tuesday, because that week was a lot. But it was that week, maybe that Tuesday or Wednesday, I break down in the office, crying on the floor. Young boy, I go outside, seen him. Thank God I seen him, because I ain't seen him because I'm working COVID. Now I'm doing learning labs. So now I'm working 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I'm out. I don't see my young boys no more because I'm doing the learning labs with DOE because we COVID. Teachers can't go back to school because the curriculums is fucked up and people done woke up. So get this white man with a pharaoh head off the screen. Get these light-skinned Native Americans out of here because people spent 2020 saying, nah, something is wrong.
And then also, parents are privy to what the kids are learning now that they're home.
Exactly. So now they're taking time, realizing the shit that's in these shits ain't really been for us.
Right.
The curriculum's never been designed for us.
I mean, I'm a teacher, and we recently got a curriculum provided to us for free by the DOE. Completely racist. The structure is amazing. It's because I teach special needs kids. So whatever you teach in that structure, they're going to learn.
Yeah.
But the content itself, I couldn't believe it in 2020 that we still have a white Cleopatra and we have Harriet Tubman talking about, I like to work.
Any black kid who stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance but doesn't know that black people fought to make that, to be a part of this free world that we have, we need to get them a check. We need to address the emotional implications and the mental fucking chaos that our minds are when you start waking up and getting older and be like, oh, wait, I'm not the Pilgrim. You feel me? I'm not the Christopher. I wasn't those people. But in school, we're taught that the redcoats are coming, with no contribution of what blackness is. Then when we get into shit like Black History Month, cool. Rosa Parks helped us get 12 feet on a white bus, but we lost all the black bus companies.
Yeah.
So what was it really? And she wasn't even the original person that the situation happened to. So what are we talking about? Martin Luther King was a Republican. Black people started voting Democrat because of civil rights with Lyndon B. Johnson. And then you look at our inner cities over the last 60 years where we continue to vote Democrat. We don't own shit. We ain't got shit. And every system has been in place, has separated the man from the woman. Then we send our kids to these fucking schools that don't educate them at all. So then motherfuckers wonder how I get manic. Nah, nigga, I tapped into the most high and I don't care about validation no more.
So do you think
But
that your break
I'ma relax.
was a response? I mean, we know you for you ain't gotta be a different
You
person
watch
now.
Traditional Millennial Podcast,
Well, right,
I know how I give it up.
facts,
Fuck out of here. I'm listening.
Would you say that what happened to you was basically a response to racial trauma? Would
Yes.
you say that that's what that was?
Yes, because the legislation in itself is a piece that I'm working on to combat it.
Do you feel like if you had have entered the institution, instead of saying I am manic, but instead say, hey, I'm suffering from PTSD due to racial trauma, that you would have been handled any differently?
They have not recognized extreme racism as an implication of PTSD amongst black people, period. Those places are set up to medicate your trauma, not to fix it, not to support it, not to what? Because even going to a counselor or a therapist, you just talking. Hopefully, you find one. And I had a meeting with my therapist. The first meeting 2 days ago. Lucky she was a real nigga, not black, but white enough to know that Sicilians are mixed race black. White enough to know, but she's Italian to be able to understand a bit. And I told her, I hope we're not here going through the motions because I live a real life. And if you just here to talk to me, then this is gonna be a waste of both of our time.
So you were a victim of racism here in this facility. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, before this facility, and I spent the rest of those days thankfully tapping into the Most High. One of the greatest gifts that I got out of that is I'm a very serious individual. So in order for me to tap out, I got to just do things of extreme joy or happiness. So family time, like my nephew's upstairs. Friday, we went roller skating. I have a sister who has children. I have friends that have kids and family. And as much as it is about fighting a fight, it's important to tap out.
Balance.
Because, yeah, it's definitely important to create a level of balance where you're able to kind of just get rid of or just kind of like table your journey to just enjoy the moment with your family and friends. So that's what that was.
Do you think that you over-engaged in Clubhouse and Instagram?
I think we all do. I think I over-engage when I get information and I just spend days sharing it. You know, I learned coming from that my thoughts are valuable because people pay attention. So if what I said in my manic state caused so much of a conversation, imagine what would happen when I create a production around my thoughts. You know, like I do my music videos. Instead of just sharing a bunch of ideas or thoughts in a story that people got to sit there and read or hopefully they catch it in 24 hours. The Most High told me how valuable I am when I'm not focused on validation. I just stand validated in what he gave me. So it's to produce things that exist in real form. So Clubhouse is a beautiful thing, but yeah, you can get bored because I ended up in a room with some really, really great people, but it became more about who was the most smartest person in the room versus who's really doing the work. And if anybody knows me, they know I'm outside. I'm not a nigga who woke up in 2020 because of what happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Now I want to go for the fight, but the fight is reposting shit and putting a black screen. No, nigga, I'm and much love and support for that, but it's just a bit deeper with me when it comes to proactive measures.
So do you have a philosophy that you live by, or is that your new philosophy that you live by?
Yeah, my new philosophy is to be validated by God and your purpose, and everybody else could suck your dick. Because if 6ix9ine running around here, suck my dick, fuck you. No, nigga. So imagine my suck my dick 6ix9ine energy, but on a 6-6 energy, more so aligned with the Most High. You know, I say 666, protons, neutrons, electrons. Sometimes the devil puts the truth right in front of our faces and perverts it, and we think it's negative. No, 666, protons, neutrons, electrons. That's humanity. That's who we are. That's history. That's us. It's biology. That's who we are. So the 666 is protons, neutrons, electrons. Not no devil worshiping dumb shit. Fuck out of here with that 6ix9ine
as we
shit.
conclude this, finish this line for me.
Are we done? I thought we was gonna get into some more. We gotta talk about Irby and they
we don't have
bullshit.
any more time. We could do a part 2.
Okay.
Finish this line for me, and it's Rashid, right? Rashid. So Rashid Littlejohn is
The guidance to the right path. Because my name Rashid means guidance to the right
You
path.
was ready for that.
I mean, the eldest, the eldest of, our great gods, Amun-Ra, I feel the spirit of him within me. I feel the spirit of John the Baptist in me. My mom was a Baptist. My last name Littlejohn. I was born in St. John Hospital. So there's an alignment there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's an alignment there that I feel makes sense. Rashid. I've never liked to be called Rashid. Ra, like roaring, like big, and really just.
This episode of Traditional Millennials is brought to you by Talent Over Hype and Candy Clouds.